Hey, what's going on out there, racing fans? This is the high school desert racing crew coming at you. Travis Moore here, along with a good buddy of mine, Alec Johnson.
How's it going, you guys?
If you don't know Alec Johnson, he was graduating my class 2011. Miler for Perry, 435 miler. What was it? 10:18 2 mile?
10:18 2 mile.
10:18 2 mile. Very good on the track. Very good on the cross country course. We're glad to have him here. Review of the morning. We went to Ojo Rojo on September the 22nd. Got out there, about 37 teams were coming to this course, so we knew we were going to have a good race on our hands today. Review of the morning, we walked the course, got each mile split out there. Alec, you have anything to say about what the course was like?
It's been how it always has been for the past few years. Very flat course, kind of dirty, a lot of dirt. They've cleared it up a bit. There weren't as many hay barrels, so you weren't as stuffy and congested as it has been in the past few years. They changed it up a bit, but still kept it really close to that 5K mark.
Yeah, how about the mile markers, man? We got those pretty clear?
Yeah, and it's actually real clear to where they had laid them out, because some courses, the directors say, hey, like they're right here, and half the time they're really not. So they're actually really close to where they always have been, and some fast times were going through there as well.
Yeah, I like seeing that always, knowing where my mile markers were when I was racing, so I'm sure these kids out there liked it. We went right into the action on Saturday with the varsity girls race. Now, coming into the race, there were a few standouts that we saw there. Obviously, we got big teams like Desert Vista. Mesa Mountain View has been doing well.
Highland was up in there
Highland was getting up in there. Who else was up there? We had Chaparral's getting up there. And Desert Vista, you can't be wrong with the standout sophomore Danny Jones up there. Leading the team. Right when the race went off, we saw some of the girls go to the front. Chaparral, I saw, had a group of about 4 up there at the quarter-mile mark, came over the hill cresting. The main girls were laying back a little bit, but they're still up in the lead mix. Alec, what did you see around mile 1?
Mile 1, we had Amber Christian. She was a girl from, Mountain Ridge. She was, I would say, a couple steps, a good 3-4 steps ahead of the rest of the pack. Because there was the lead pack of the girls, and there was Amber Christian just a couple steps ahead. They were coming through around 6 minutes flat to like 6:03 with that second group right back there. I mean, everyone's still looking super comfortable coming up over that little bunny hill and coming off of that. Everyone looking super comfortable, and then, a little pack of girls straight after those.
And we saw them at the 1.5 mile mark. It seemed to be the same situation there. We had the girl from Mountain Ridge taking it out, still about maybe 2 seconds ahead of the group?
Yeah, she was a good 2 seconds ahead.
And then we had a pack of like 7 or 8 of them just back there. We had a couple girls from Mesa Mountain View. Danny Jones was up in there from DV. Christy Rush and Lauren Ellsworth from Highland. And Allie Kellner from Chaparral. By the 2 mile marker, it seemed that the pack had tightened up a little bit more. We still had our 7 or 8 in there.
Oh yeah, we had all 8 in there. We had actually the top 5 were all in that top 8 group, of course, and then we had those few struggles that ended up taking the 6, 7, and 8. The lady from Mountain Ridge was Amber Christian.
She was still up in that pack. I was surprised that she didn't falter out at that point. She hung on strong. We found these girls again with about 800 to go, and that time the pack had strung out a little bit. Girls were making moves. We had 4 in a pack. Christy Rush from Highland. We had Houston Jones from Mesa Mountain View, Danny Jones from Desert Vista, and Allie Kellner from Chaparral. Now, with these girls tightened up in that pack at that point, you knew it was going to be a fast finish. So what did we see coming around after that point?
Well, I was hanging out over at the finish line, and once I started to see them coming up over that little hill, coming down for that final little stretch, the final kick, I saw a group of 3. We had Allie Kellner from Chaparral, we had Danny Jones from Desert Vista, and Houston Jones from Mesa Mountain View. And shortly after that, Lauren Ellsworth and Christy Rush were coming in. But the top 3 right there, Allie Kellner, Danny Jones, and Houston Jones, it was...
These 3 girls laid it all out on the course. We saw them all together with 100 meters to go on a flat-out sprint to the end. In the end, Allie Kellner from Chaparral, the sophomore, took home the win in 18:49. Danny Jones followed later in 18:50 by 1 second. And Houston Jones from Mesa Mountain View took 18:51. All these 3 girls only a second apart in each placing. Lauren Ellsworth from Highland, sophomore, 18:58, came in 4th. Alongside her teammate Christy Rush from Highland came in at 18:59. Very good race from these ladies. Afterwards, we saw
the boys
varsity race, right? And this was going to be a great field, too. Who do we have up in there?
Well, we had Nate Rodriguez from CDO. We had Highland boys.
Corona del Sol.
Corona del Sol.
Yeah. No worries.
CDS right there.
Yeah, no worries.
We had Logan Wolf. We had Highland. We had CDO up there, we had Brophy, we had Mountain Ridge, always strong teams, always bringing good
Desert Vista was in this competition, however, they were sitting out their number 1 and 2 runners. We saw Carter Macy take 3rd at the Chandler Invitational 2 weeks ago, was not in it this week. We didn't get a quote from the coach to see why Carter was out, but they were also missing number 2 runner, Ryan Dykstra, who haven't been seen a lot at all this year. unfortunately. So the Desert Vista boys, not their strongest showing out there today, but my guess is these guys are saving them for when it really counts at state. You know, that's when you really want to
state, and they might be using them at Twilight coming up as well.
Right, that'd be a big one. All right, so the gun went off for the boys' race, and we saw some kids. Usually, what happens in the beginning, they take out and they fall back because they
well, especially this course as well. This has been a big course because as soon as you start off on the race, there's this little funnel of trees, and everyone's just in a dead sprint, and especially kids that are a little bit newer to racing or. You get excited. You get very excited.
It just happens, you know, when you expect it. The guys that have been racing for a few years need to lay back behind and let them go for a little bit. They falter out pretty soon. No surprise there. Alec, you saw these guys at the mile mark. What did they go through at?
They went through at 5:01 was for Nate Rodriguez with a couple other guys who were literally just a step behind. He was just kind of leading up that front pack. He came through at 5:01. The last guys came through. It was like the leading 5 or 6, I believe, that were there, and they finished through that line at 5:03.
So they were all right up in there at the pack. I saw these guys come through at the 1.5 mile mark. And it was Nate Rodriguez ahead by about 3 or 4 steps. He had a little bit of a gap opening up on these guys, but they were still keeping them within range. In that lead pack, who we had? We had Logan Wolf of Highland, Andrew Garcia of CDO, Nick Dale from Mountain Ridge, Jack Rubensar from Brophy. I believe Jordan Heliebeck also from Canyon del Oro was up there. We had Ryan Norman from Corona del Sol. We still had a good group of guys that was up in there. Not as tightly packed up as the girls group, but they were still rolling with the pack. At the 2 mile marker, what did you see, Alec?
2 mile mark. Nate Rodriguez took it. He was leading quite a few steps on him. He was probably a good 10, 15 meters ahead of the rest of the guys, had a few seconds on him.
What'd they come through at?
They were coming through, I believe it was 10:18.
Okay, so they slowed down a little bit.
Slowed down a bit. But yeah, Nate Rodriguez came through at 10:18. The rest of the guys were coming through around 10:22 is when they were first starting to come through that 2 mile mark.
And I believe at this point, Nate was opening up the lead. Then we had Andrew Garcia from Canyon del Oro in second place. And then
Logan Wolf was staying back a little bit. He was a little bit further back in that top pack.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the senior winner from 2 weeks ago, Chandler, staying back a little bit. But, you know, that's the Highland boys racing style. They really get you in that last mile. He was up in that pack. Jack Rubensar. Jordan Heliebeck was still staying strong. Ryan Norman was up there. Nick Dale from Mountain Ridge. We saw these guys about 800 meters to go. Nathan Rodriguez had opened up a complete lead on the field. I'd say he had about a good 50 meters on second place.
40, 50 meters. He was going, and that's with just the 800 left as well.
Oh, definitely.
Not even talking the finish.
And he looked strong still at that point. We saw these kids coming through. In second place, we had Andrew Garcia coming back through it from Canyon del Oro still. And then you had 3 more guys that were still in the pack. You still had Andrew Garcia. No, he was in second place. So you had Logan Wolf, Jack Rubensar, and Nick Dale, all from different schools. Coming through towards the end, Nate Rodriguez had pulled away completely for the lead, took home the win in 15:53.
Outstanding time.
And then a surprise, seeing him move up in the pack from 5th place, coming all the way to second in the last 800 meters, was Highland's Logan Wolf, improving by 21 seconds from 2 weeks ago to a 16:01 to take home second place. Logan Wolf really moved up in that pack. I was surprised.
Well, what it was is that's just how Highland trains. I mean, ever since, at least I know since I've raced them, they've always been those that stick back a little bit. They wait until the last mile of cross country. They wait until the last 800 of 2 miles. Wait until the last 400 of miles. They always wait until that last bit, and then they'll blow you out of the water. I mean, they're one of those that they've got the kick.
Andrew Garcia came through in 3rd place with 16:05. Jack Rubensar from Brophy 1 second behind him in 16:06 for 4th, and Nick Dale from Mountain Ridge 16:14 in 5th place. Great race from these guys.
Fantastic.
Get on to the team results. When we finally got those results in, the girls' side, it was Mesa Mountain View with 41 points. The ladies of Highland High School with 71, and Desert Vista took home 3rd place with 86 points. Does this surprise you at all, Alec?
Not entirely. I mean, Highland is always a strong team. Same with Desert Vista and Mesa Mountain View. So, I mean, I knew that they were all going to be up there, but the only thing that really did is that Mesa won by such a large margin. They won by 30 points.
Yeah,
the 41 to 71. That is a fantastic lead right there.
They had all 5 of them in the top 15, right?
Especially Highland having 2 girls in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was impressive.
You had Houston Jones from Mesa Mountain View leading the pack for them, but then still, like their numbers 2 through 5, they were still in the top 15. I mean, these girls really did well. On the boys' side, Corona del Sol took home 1st place honors with 100 points, Highland High School with 104, and Mesa Mountain View with 158. Now, Corona del Sol, they took 3rd place 2 weeks ago at the Chandler Invitational, came back with a vengeance, winning with the 100 points, led by, obviously, the winner of the race, Nathan Rodriguez. What do you think about that, Alec?
Well, I knew that, especially coming from where they were last week, they wanted to take the win. They didn't want to let that sit back and, not being able to take something that they know that could be theirs if they worked their butts off, and were able to end up doing that. So Nate Rodriguez, he knew what he had to do this race, and he did exactly what he needed to do, and the rest of the team followed as such, and they went after what they knew, was wanting to be theirs.
And obviously a close race, 100 points to
Very
104. You got to give it up to both these guys' teams. I mean, they just did well, very well. Next time, it's been High School Desert Racing Crew. See you out there, guys.